Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. I have a really fun discussion video to talk about today. Last night, Konami basically released information that in their, what is this? This is their quarter century, what does CU stand for? This stands for like quarter century something set. I don't know. It's like a big set where they do a bunch of reprints in it. It's nothing too crazy. It's kind of like our big 25th anniversary reprint set that we just got at the end of last year. In the TCG, we're getting another one in May, I think. But that's not really the bigger point here. I think Konami does a couple of things really well, especially in the OCG, even more than the TCG. Sometimes things slip through the cracks a little bit more in the TCG, but whenever they're making new support for like an archetype that, especially as a fan favorite, Konami does a really good job in the OCG of going back and reprinting cards that really need it, that are older cards for that archetype, right? So, just an older card, maybe it only has a couple printings, so it's actually pretty expensive, especially with the hype of a new wave of support. And then when they give it a reprint, it means that players that don't have those cards readily available, they don't have to go back and pick up 8-year-old cards that are, way more expensive than they otherwise would be. The only thing that slips through the cracks, the only downside really in that regard, is if they do make a reprint before they actually announce the support, it actually leaves them in a position of kind of giving a hint on things that are coming down the pipeline. And honestly, with what we have here, I really hope that's actually the case. That would be so cool. And so the big thing here for the quarter century whatever set is Burning Abyss. There's a couple others here, and we'll mention those as well, but Burning Abyss is definitely the big one overall here. They basically are reprinting the main core cards of this archetype. The Skarms, the Grafts, the Seers, Dante, Beatrice. The only bigger one missing here, I would say, is probably Cherubini, but Cherubini is also like the newest card of the archetype, so it's actually been printed in the last couple years, so that one actually should be a little more easy to get a hold of, so I actually don't think that's that big of a deal. But at the end of the day, we've seen this before. We've seen this before in because there's no reprints in core sets, but we've seen this in like their tournament packs. They will reprint a card in a tournament pack. You're like, that's a weird random reprint, and then like a month later, they announced that archetype that got that reprint is getting like a full wave of support. And so that was an older card. They wanted to make sure players had access to a newer, cheaper copy if they needed it. And I think it's really good. So Burning Abyss getting a whole wave here, I love it. That would be so cool. And I actually think this archetype, if we had asked like 5 years ago, we'd have been like, you can't give Burning Abyss 5 new cards. That's insane. But now we're sitting here, we're going, with power creep and the standard of cards in the game nowadays, I think Burning Abyss can get running at this point. They could give them 5-6 cards, and I would not be blown away. I would be very excited, but I wouldn't be like, no, they ruined the game. Burning Abyss is going to be the best, like tier 0. I actually think they quite deserve it, and I actually think it's kind of maybe what they need even. But there's a lot of things with BA. It's a really cool archetype. Back when the game was just less explosive, these guys got the job done, plus less hand trap, stuff like that. They got the job done better then as well. I think there's a bunch of things I'd like to see. I think they actually need like a full-on boss monster. They still to this day do not actually have a boss monster, right? Like you could say Beatrice, which actually is like arguable for sure, but they could maybe use another real boss monster. Maybe it's a Link 3, maybe it's a Link 4. If you believe that's like the route they should go. It could be another Exceed like Beatrice, where it can overlay on top of some either specific BA or, you know what I mean, have some other weird requirement where it can't just be a rank 3, but it could be a higher rank that just requires, like you could use Beatrice to make it, or so that way you have to like get to Beatrice and then also get to this guy, but maybe make it a higher, I guess I don't want to say higher ceiling card than Beatrice, because Beatrice is already pretty good, but you know what I'm saying. Just like another avenue, another way that if we keep just spamming BA monsters on the field, we get more payoff. On top of that, I'd love to see an actual normal summon for the deck. One of the problems for me in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! When I've ever tried to go back to BA, I've run into the problem of if I normal summon Tour Guide, because that's always been considered like the best normal summon in BA, or maybe even the Rhino, because he keeps the BAs from destroying themselves. The problem with Rhino is Rhino doesn't like push your engine as far as you want to, and Tour Guide loses the hand traps, right? If Tour Guide gets hand trapped, none of the BAs become extenders anymore. You could have 4 BAs at hand, but they're not extenders because they destroy themselves as soon as they hit the field because you're stuck with Tour Guide now on your field. So I'd love a normal summon that can like do that, and like I want to make it trigger on normal or special summon. I don't care what it wants to do. I don't care if it wants to foolish a BA. I don't care if it wants to summon one from deck. Summon one from deck is probably more optimal. Just literally Tour Guide, but with BA in the name. Because then you'd also have the way of like, even if you don't open it, if you ever go a line through Graph, you could summon this card, then summon another one, and you just get way more value. You increase the potency and the explosivity of the engine. So I'd love to see that. I just love to see generically like extra deck monsters, even other than like a new boss monster, that allow extending with BAs to like actually feel good. It's always felt like opening too many BAs is bad. I think they need to go a route where like they should make you want to play as many BAs as possible, because it should be like, oh, if I summon Cherubini and Cherubini gets to gain energy sends for cost, but let's say we send Graph and then they ash the Graph. I want to feel like if I have another BA in hand, I can special it and like go from there. And I know there's some stuff, there's like the Phantom Knight engine, there's, you know what I mean, some stuff like that. So that's definitely like possible to like go places, but like keeping it more BA centric like makes it even better. So I'd love to see that. Also, this is an archetype that doesn't really have any good spells. It has like the Fire Lake card for traps. Not an amazing trap. Its requirements are pretty brutal. So I wouldn't mind a couple spells and traps too. I'd honestly just think pushing BA would be awesome. It's also on my prediction list from the beginning of the year, so I'm really hoping BA comes through here. Alright, next thing on the list is Phantom Knights. This one's interesting. I actually do think Phantom Knights could totally end up with a little bit of support. I was arguing recently that like I don't think they're that likely because we got they were like the cover card of a core set like 2 years ago or whatever. And they split support with Raid Raptors, but we just saw from this most recent set, Phantom Nightmare, Raid Raptor got a bunch of new cards. So why can't Phantom Knights? Phantom Knights are more beloved than Raid Raptors are, I believe. Do I want to see them get another 5-card wave? I don't think so, because they already generically work with other stuff pretty well. So I don't think we need to see anything that drastic. But 1 or 2 cards and like they're actually good, like I could see that happening. Plus, I also think there's a world where the Phantom Knights are thrown in here specifically because BA is already in here. Like, there's a world where, like, depending on the type of BA support we get, do we look down and go, oh, you know what? We still want to play Phantom Knights. So maybe they're just reprinting these because they're estimating that one of the best ways to play the new BA support would be with Phantom Knights anyway. But they could also be getting their own support too. Alright, next up, they do have a couple of Mathmech cards getting reprinted here. I don't know what to make of this, right? Like, they banned Circular in the TCG. I think Circular's still at 1 in the OCG. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, like, they're hit pretty hard, and that's always a weird spot for me, because I just, like, usually don't expect Konami to make new cards for an archetype that has, like, cards on the ban list. Like, you would think, like, the first thing they should do is peel their cards off the ban list and make sure they're not broken that way. But, I don't know, the reprint here, I don't really know fully what to make of it. I'm not going to say it doesn't mean they're going to get any support, but I'm just saying it's something to take note of. And the last thing shown here is Melfi's. They could totally get support. I mean, they got support not that long ago with the this guy, I think another Exceed too. They got like 4 or 5 cards in like the last year, maybe at the beginning of 2023, if I'm thinking right timeline-wise, but they have some cool cards. They're not bad cards at all. They're just a little bit slow. They might still need to combine with something like Sprite. But who knows? They're still cool. We'll see. That's definitely something to put on the radar, especially since we know that these guys are like fan favorites, right? Like Melfi's are beloved. They're now even being shown in the new anime trailer as one of the like shown archetypes, so I think that also could mean that they have a higher chance of getting support here. So I definitely wouldn't be shocked there. And then 2 more like basically Phantom Knight cards, more or less. Also like sort of Raid Raptor cards. But yeah, that'd be really, really cool. I think the biggest thing is BA. I think the BA makes the most sense. They haven't got support basically since Cherubini, and let's be honest, Cherubini has been abused in multiple decks that are not even BA at all. So yeah, that's crazy. But anyway, let me know your guys' thoughts down below. What do you think out of this? Like, do you think this means Burning Abyss is likely to come? And if you do or don't, whatever, let me know your thoughts down below with how you'd like to see BA get support. It's been a while since I messed with them, but if you like actively keep in touch with like where BA is, I'd love to hear somebody who likes, you know, one tricks the deck or is just like way into it, their more informed opinion on what they'd like to see for a deck like this. But thanks for watching. I'm out of here for today, guys. Thank you so much. Again, subscribe if you haven't. You want to stay updated on all things Yu-Gi-Oh! News and more videos like this, more discussion stuff. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.